welcome to this week's episode of Trump Trolls Trump, where one person named Trump relentlessly mocks and makes fun of another person named Trump. I trust you guys to figure out who's who. I will not reveal that upon pain of death, ever. All right, so spring is in the air, right? It's a season of renewal. Everything feels a little lighter. Everything's a little brighter. Optimism and hope abound. How could they not? I mean, seriously, how could they not? We are in the golden age. It is day 89 of the Trump regime. Everything's great. So let's look back, shall we, at week 12. 12 weeks. That, it seems longer. Anyway, there was a moment this week that, to me, encapsulates the entirety of the Trump regime. A moment that says everything that needs to be said about what we've been through in the last 3 months and where we're headed. And it was brought to us by none other than the vice president, whose name escapes me. Oh yeah, J.D. Vance, right. I'm pretty sure that he has everything well in hand. See for yourself.
All right, the Ohio State football team is at the White House today celebrating the Buckeyes' national championship win. So moments ago, the White House pool cameras captured a serious fumble. Take a look.
It's amazing that guy gets invited to anything. But, you know, now it makes sense that like even the polar bears didn't want to meet with him in Greenland. Yeah, you know, there's a cure for not having any upper body strength or social skills. But, you know, who cares? I will soon forget his name again, but that's fine too. Anyway, we have a lot to get to this week, but please take a second to like and share this video. Really helps people find our content. Also, if you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel. We are getting very close to 400,000 subscribers. Every little bit helps. And as independent media, your support helps us reach more people and keep this going. Easter's almost here. Not a holiday I celebrate, but, you know, a lot of people do. And for reasons that I have never understood, eggs are a big part of it. Thanks in part to the Easter Bunny, which also makes no sense to me. But, you know, for whatever reason, for decorating or just for a nice Easter breakfast, those of us without backyard chickens, and I remain one of them because I continue not to have a backyard. I keep looking on eBay and it's just not a thing that I can find. The cost of eggs may be insupportable for this holiday. So if you're in a pinch, there are cheaper alternatives, which I personally have never really considered. Painting potatoes instead of eggs. Who doesn't like a hard-boiled potato that is colored with food coloring? I mean, that sounds like a meal to me. Some other suggestions that people have come up with: marshmallows. Well, guys, come on. We have Peeps. We don't need to do that. Just buy the Peeps. I mean, unless there's some ingredient in marshmallows that has also become increasingly expensive because of Donald's stupid tariffs, which is always a possibility. Pasta shells, because kids absolutely love finding colorful pasta shells under rocks. Who doesn't? And even rocks themselves, because you know that is a great way to keep kids calm on Easter. Give them rocks to throw at each other. Yes, happy Easter, kids. Here's a basket of rocks, but they're colorful. Don't worry. Grocery prices, even though it entails using the archaic, out-of-fashion word groceries, are always top of mind for Donald. And he'll make up any story or pull any random number out of the air to prove that he is absolutely on it. Watch this.
The price of groceries are substantially down. The price of eggs, you know, when I came in, they hit me with eggs. I just got there. I was here for 1 week and they started screaming at me, eggs have gone through the roof. I said, I just got here. I was there for 7 days, and I hear that eggs have gone through the roof before I got there. And they were screaming at me, the press, the fake news like you're fake. And the fake news is screaming at me like about eggs. I said, I've only been here, this is my 7th day. And they were right. They went up 87%, and you couldn't get them. They said, you won't have eggs for Easter, which is coming up. Happy Easter, everybody. You won't have eggs for Easter. And we did an unbelievable job, and now eggs are all over the place, and the price went down 92%.
Wow, they're basically free now. Yeah, I wish we'd hit you with eggs, you asshole. But, that's not what we're talking about right now. We're talking about all the lies he just told about the price of eggs. Also, I just got here, says the guy who was in the Oval Office for 4 years and then spent the next 4 years as the head of the Republican Party, promising us during the 2024 campaign and during the 78 of the days of the transition that he was going to bring prices down on day one. Remember that? And eggs suddenly, that's a mystery why people care. It's a whole election was about the price of eggs, you moron. But no. I just got here, he says. Sure. Like he's not a politician. He doesn't know his way around the place. He just lived there for 4 years. Well, look, I know that Donald loves to push the idea of running for an unconstitutional third term because apparently the first wasn't enough to acclimatize him to the White House or the responsibilities being president of the United States entailed, which should kind of make some of us feel slightly alarmed. But we at Marriage Trump Media, we thought that we could help Donald out with his next campaign slogan. So here it is. Trump 2028. I just got here. That's on the house. I mean, that you can make t-shirts out of that, bumper stickers. It's evergreen, I think, because that's probably what every day feels like to you. I just got here. I don't know anything. Ask the coffee boy. I mean, Marco Rubio. Oh, wait, no. Marco Rubio is the Diet Coke button guy. Anyway, one thing we know for certain about Donald is that he understands that you have to have faith. Faith, the deep-seated kind of faith that people like me don't have. As we go into the Easter holidays, Donald sycophants want to remind you that he is a man of faith. Donald Trump is a man of... It's true. I've been chokes me up a little bit, knowing him as I know him. He's a man of God. On Fox State Television this week, they pushed that notion really hard, which I'm pretty sure you wouldn't have to do if it were true. I'm not really sure about this, so let's take a look.
Tell us about President Trump's faith. I know that he has said publicly that the assassination attempts did change him and make him closer to God. There are a lot of people in the Christian community when we talk that will say they believe that God had a plan in all of this and spared his life so that he could go on to become president.
Well, first, I think people need to know that President Trump has had faith in his life in his early ages, going to Sunday school. One of his treasures books is the Bible given to him by his mother. And then fast forward into his adulthood in 2000 when he called Pastor Paula White and was watching Christian television. So remember, before he even thought about being president, he was watching Christian television. And so faith has been a big part of his life.
I've read the 10 Commandments, and last I checked, lying is not something you're supposed to do. The extent to which these people lie, or maybe worse, believe Donald's lies about his so-called faith, is just absolutely appalling. I mean, Donald even knows that he's lying. The idea that anybody in my family was religious is hysterical. Donald believes in one higher power, and it's him. And he also knows that he's playing with fire because there's a reason he didn't put his hand on the Bible this time around. He had a very good idea that he would probably be struck by lightning. See, so he does know something about Christian faith, such as it is. But look, what is faith without belief? Well, what do I know? As a matter of fact, though, we all need something to believe in, no matter how delusional. And again, for Donald Trump, it is not the Lord. No, it's not even the actual price of eggs. This week, the nation, we anxiously were awaiting this because we knew that we were going to get the truth finally. about the state of Donald Trump's health. We got his health report. Yep, the result of his health report. And I hope you're sitting down because this will come as a great shock, or not, or not. The physical examination was a huge success. That's right. He came through with amazing numbers, the best ever, like numbers you've never seen before. Numbers no one could believe. Well, that part's true. Watch the excitement from the White House press room.
Sure. Will you guys also consider releasing the president's fitness plan? He actually looks healthier than ever before. Healthier than he did 8 years ago, and I'm sure everybody in this room could agree. Is he working out with Bobby Kennedy? And is he eating less McDonald's?
I can confirm the president is in very good shape, as you see, on a near daily basis here. And in that vein, thank God it's Friday. It's been a very long and busy week here at the White House. We will see you all on Monday.
How much do they pay these people to lie constantly? Like, how exhausting must it be to have to be a cheerleader for that? So the physician in charge, who's also got to be a paid actor, because otherwise there's no explanation for this. He indicated that Donald is 6 feet 2 inches tall and weighs a svelte 224 pounds. So let's do a little contrast and compare, just to make sure that we have faith that these numbers. Speaking of faith, that these numbers are accurate. So here's a picture of NBA All-Star Anthony Edwards of the Minnesota Timberwolves, who comes in at 6 foot 4 inches and 225 pounds. Yeah, are men svelte? I don't know, but he looks like he's in quite good shape. And then here's Kansas City Chiefs All-Star quarterback Patrick Mahomes, who's not one of my favorite athletes to point to generally, but if we're just talking about his height and his weight, he clocked in at 6'3" and 225 pounds. And knowing him, he would probably say, "Oh yeah, Donald and I look exactly the same. Our physiques are identical." And then there's actor Chris Hemsworth, reportedly 6 feet 3 inches and around 220 to 225 pounds. Well done, Chris. Now, to be fair and, transparent, let's take a look at the guy the press secretary was talking about, who was photographed just this past weekend in all his glory. In all his glory. That's a 6'2", 223 pound, whatever that is. Why lie? Why lie? Now, granted, muscle weighs more than fat. I'll leave it at that, I guess. But why lie? And I think part of it is that it's just a way to get people used to it. I mean, I suppose he also can't help himself. He's so thin-skinned. And that is not, that picture you and I just saw, that is not how Donald Trump sees himself by any stretch of the imagination. So this isn't to shame anybody. You look how you look. We're built how we're built. Who cares? Who cares? What we want to know is, if you're president of the United States, we want to know if you're healthy. We want to know if you have any health issues. But the fact that you're lying about things that are demonstrably untrue, that should worry us about the bigger stuff. Anyway, I look forward to Donald subbing for Patrick Mahomes at the next Super Bowl. He'll do great. Okay, so if there's one thing we're learning, it's that the Trump regime is known for its incompetence, not just known for its incompetence. I think that's its hallmark. Take, for instance, Donald's ridiculous trade war, the one that's sent the world into an economic tailspin. Not even Donald knows what the hell is going on here, because he doesn't understand how tariffs work, which leads me to believe he doesn't even understand why he's imposing tariffs. But once you've lost Foghorn Leghorn, you might have a problem. Watch this.
Here's what I see. I see a lot of uncertainty. And I think to some extent, it's intentional. If you listen to the president's aides weekend before last and then listen to them this weekend, you don't have to be Einstein's cousin to figure out they were saying things that were inconsistent. Now, that raises one or two possibilities to me. Either it's intentional or these folks aren't competent to manage a food truck.
All right, I know I'm just quibbling here, but was Einstein's cousin smart? Because last I checked, it doesn't really work. Like, Donald Trump is my uncle, so don't you dare tell me that just because of that relationship, he's smart. I find that a little insulting. Anyway, that was Senator John Kennedy of Louisiana, who is a hardcore MAGA and never breaks ranks with Donald Trump, breaking ranks with Donald Trump, which personally I find amusing. Speaking of not knowing what the hell's going on, artificial intelligence is becoming more and more part of our everyday lives, but it's still new technology and it's often misunderstood. And some people have absolutely no idea what it is, even people who probably should, because it is gaining ground in the agencies they're purportedly leading. So take for example, our current Department of Education Secretary, Linda McMahon. I should say current and temporary because they're trying to destroy the Department of Education. But here she is as she compares AI to something some of us may find familiar in another way.
Letter or report that I heard this morning, I wish I could remember the source, but that there is a school system that's going to start making sure that first graders or even pre-Ks have A1 teaching, every year starting, that far down in the grades. And that's just that's a wonderful thing. Kids are sponges. They just absorb everything. And so it wasn't all that long ago that we're going to have internet in our schools. Woo! Now, okay, let's see A1 and how can that be helpful? How can it be helpful in one-on-one instruction? How can it be helpful in absorbing, more information for those fast learners? Kids are sponges.
I don't think it can be helpful in those ways. And if kids are sponges and we're slashing the budget of the Department of Education, how much A1 sauce can we actually afford? I don't know. But before we find out, I mean, we don't want our young children becoming dependent upon. Do children that young eat steak with steak sauce? Do they have teeth yet? I forgot. Anyway, before they become too reliant on A1 sauce, we need to make the argument. Well, this is blindingly clear after what we just. Adult education, right? Let's educate our adults, and then maybe we'll have some hope here. This week, Donald met with well-known fascist and, I think it's safe to say, protege of Mussolini, which is kind of terrifying, and current Prime Minister of Italy, Giorgia Meloni. Their Oval Office meeting covered a wide range of topics, but one thing stood out to me in particular. During a discussion over immigration, it became abundantly clear. Well, I think we knew this already. I introduced you to the Gulf of America, but Donald is not a student of geography. Watch this.
And no, we need to get murderers and drug dealers and people that were in jail for horrible. They released jails, Georgia, from all over the world. They released them, not just South America, all over the world, the Congo and Africa. Many people come from the Congo. I don't know what that is, but they came from the Congo.
Okay. Normally, people who are that stupid and ignorant, know enough not to point that out. The Congo, wherever that is. Just say the Congo and pretend you know what you're talking about. Also, she was the Prime Minister of Italy, who was there to discuss tariffs, was probably wondering why she was there at all. I mean, and so am I, except, fascists hang out in the Oval Office now, so that's cool. But look, that was just the beginning of Donald's very, very busy day on Thursday, because after the meeting with the Italian Prime Minister, Donald got down to the real business, like the stuff that is most vitally important to our economy and our future as a people. He addressed an issue that he holds very, very near and dear to his heart, and perhaps you're not aware of this. It was until Thursday a very closely held family secret, because we don't like to brag, but the issue is Samoan fishing, of course. This was an exciting moment for the regime as it huddled around the resolute desk to sign this week's executive orders. And sometimes, well, Donald may have the best words, but he doesn't talk so good. So here's Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, who is known for his brilliance and eloquence. Take a look at this.
Imagine the regulations that have been written to stop our fishermen from just surviving and thriving. We have the greatest coasts in the world with the greatest fishermen in the world, and we need to let them do their great jobs, raise and capture fish, bring them to our tables, have America have the greatest fish in the world, which we have, and then let them export all these other countries, right? They stop us from exporting. That's going to be over with your leadership and your trading policies. We're going to open all of these markets, and we're going to let our fishermen thrive and prosper, and we are going to have lower cost fish, more of it, and the freshest fish in the world. And this is just common sense, the United States of America. Common sense.
Is that what that is? I think I have a different definition of common sense. First of all, are fish really like open water ocean? Are they fresher in one place as opposed to another if you pluck them out of the sea? Which I highly recommend you don't do because I'm a vegetarian. But I mean, it sounds to me like what they're asking for is more overfishing, so that in the medium to short term, we can bankrupt our fishermen by making sure there's nothing left for them to take out of the ocean. But what do I know? Because what this executive order really does is direct the reopening of one of the world's largest ocean reserves to commercial fishermen, marking the first time in over a decade that industrial activity will be allowed in the Pacific Islands Heritage Marine National Monument. This is a remote, ecologically rich area, 750 miles west of Hawaii, home to endangered sea turtles, whales, and coral atolls, which makes it sound like a perfect place to destroy. Yeah, that's a great idea. These people care about nothing. So don't buy fish from that place because that's disgraceful. But no matter the stupidity, right-wing TV can never praise Donald. Who am I kidding? Donald can't praise Donald enough. So good luck with his cabinet and, right-wing media catching up. Just after his presidential physical, Georgia Representative Mitch McCormick went on Newsmax to praise the great leader's cognitive skills and energy levels. And by cognitive skills, he means that Donald was able to pass the Montreal Cognitive Assessment, which, by the way, is designed to be passed. So in closing, I'd like to do something a little different here and agree with at least one of the following statements. So let's see if you could pick out what I'm referring to. Take a look.
He had his big physical, and he did a cognitive test too, which he says most of the presidents don't do. They said he did pretty well on that.
This guy is sharp. If you look at his energy level, it's unsurpassed. I think people half his age don't keep up with his kind of schedule, his pace, his energy level, the ability to give speeches, travel, hold hearings, you name it, the people he meets with. But also just look at his cognitive effect. When I met him and talked to him for about an hour and a half, that guy remembers everything. As a matter of fact, sometimes too much because it's hard to get anything past him.
He's a freak.
Well, yeah, what's the true statement here? Bonus. I'm not, what bonus? Of course, he's a freak. Yeah, he's a freak of nature. Also, by the way, let's put the sycophancy aside for a second. All of the things that guy mentioned, it's what all presidents do. It's the job. I know, shocking. Also, if you're an idiot, it isn't surprising that you might think that Donald Trump isn't. So that does it for another episode of Trump Trolls Trump. I so appreciate your being here. We will be back next week for a wrap up of week 13, if we can survive it. See you soon.